Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Toontalk Fantasy Premier League Toontalk Trophy draw for round two. Uh, Joining me today is Ross McDonald, one of the other Toontalk admins, and we just thought that before we get to the nitty gritty of getting the draw done, we'd have a quick chinwag about the season so far, just to see what kind of insights both of us have on Eddie Howe and his team. So, without further ado, let's get cracking, Ross. Well, first of
Sure.
all, how the devil are you?
Very well, mate. Can't complain. Yeah, I mean it's snowing today, so it's not going to venture too far out. But yeah, can't complain. The season's been well. The season's been what the season is, I suppose.
Well, I mean,
Bit of
let's start at the beginning, I suppose. How did you think the transfer window went?
bit cliched, but I think the squad is stronger, but the first 11 is weaker than it was last season.
Any
Um,
particular area?
well, even the obvious is don't like saying his name anymore, but losing Isak, obviously the team was built around him, and um, losing a player of his caliber was always going to hurt. Especially the manner in which it happened was pretty hideous. The fact that it dragged on all summer, like if he was going to leave, I know I like the way the club handled it, to be honest. But if he was always going to leave, probably should have happened earlier than it did.
Yeah,
Um, and it left us, and obviously the Wissa situation with his injury hasn't helped. It left us a bit short because you can't just bring in world class replacements. I think Voldemar has been excellent. I think you can't really complain with his start, but um, it's obviously had to change the way we play dramatically. Um, and as good as I think Voldemar is and could be, is he the right signing for us at this point as an Isak replacement? Probably not. I think sadly the right player to sign to replace Isak was Ekatike. He
yeah,
was the one that we should, and arguably, obviously this is a parallel universe, but had we got Ekatike, I think the player that Liverpool needed was not Isak, it was Baltamada, because what they need is a Firmino, right? They've got goal scorers, they've got Salah, they've got Gakpo, they've got players that can find the
Chris
net. They
Diaz.
don't
Yeah,
need
yeah.
they're not anymore.
Oh no, he's gone.
Um,
Of course he has. Yeah,
but they've got players that can find the net. What they needed was a link up man, and Isak's not that player. Like he's not gonna do the Harry Kane role of getting back into midfield and finding wingers, which Voldemar is made for. I think Voldemar reminds me of Firmino in the way he plays.
yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I think he's more of a complete striker and one that can play in kind of a number 10 role.
yeah,
But then that does beg the question: was he ever supposed to be a replacement for Isak, or is he simply filling that role now because Wissa's not been available since we signed him?
yeah.
Um,
Well, if is the replacement, that concerns me because he's a good striker, a good Premier League goal scorer, but he's not kicked the ball for us yet. He's going to take a while to get fit, and we paid 50, 55 million for a player that's got no resale value at all. And we kind of needed him to be the stopgap, the filler, the player that was going to score 20 goals this season, 20 goals next season, and then give us time to find a permanent replacement, which is what Ekitike would have been.
Yeah, I think
So
that's a solid assessment, mate. Like as far as I'm concerned with Wissa, I mean it's maybe not quite the same, because we said a lot of things about Tonali when he joined and he wasn't able to play for us for a long time, and I think all of the doubters about Tonali have now been proven wrong. I'm sure
absolutely, yeah. I
anyone
think
would agree with that. With Wissa, obviously he's already a proven Premier League goal scorer. I, for one, despite the lack of resale value, I'm quite excited to see what he does in, with no disrespect, a team that isn't Brentford. And I think with the way that our creativity has shone over the last couple of seasons, Bruno, Murphy, in particular those two, and also the fact that we now have pacey more like wing backs as opposed to fullbacks or
and that's it.
inverted fullbacks who can get up those wings, get the ball into the box. I think we might see, Wissa's best season at Newcastle. Probably not this season because he's missed half of it, but I am quite excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, no, that's
However,
fair.
I do agree that if you're looking to replace Isak, certainly in the form that he was in for Newcastle for most of last season, I'm not sure that either of them are the right person. However, the Isak fiasco aside, I was actually quite pleased with our transfer window. I think Voltemada and Wissa are both good signings.
Yeah,
It's just whether or not we are where we need to be now. You know, the fact that we've only got 21 that we can name for the Champions League is a concern. I
yeah,
wasn't overly sure that we should get rid of Longstaff. I think that might have been a mistake. Um, but then, I think I was in the minority there when it happened.
yeah. So Longstaff's an interesting one because obviously, in terms of the squad, having that homegrown quota is vital in Europe. And he was a good squad player. He never complained about not being first choice, but ultimately he wasn't going to sign a new deal because at his age and with his relative caliber, he wanted to be playing first team football. To get a fee for him to go to a club like Leeds, I think was the right move at the right time for him. Um, Remains to be seen whether Ramsey is the step up from Longstaff that we hope he will be. Um, he's looked good in the bits that we've seen of him, but I've got a few Villa friends who I asked about him to when we signed him, and they all said great player when he's fit, but he's never fit.
Okay.
And
I mean, how
he
many
picked
players
up
have we
those.
said that about over the years?
Exactly. So I think he's going to fall into that category. Unfortunately, if he's going to a bit like what Willock did when we first signed him, of great when he's on the pitch, but that's just too far too fleeting. I guess if he's not an automatic starter, that's not less important, but his fitness is not. I'd rather he was injury prone than Tonali being injury prone,
Sure. And
But
I think as far as squad depth is concerned, the fact that he won't be first choice and therefore will be at lower injury risk than a lot of our other midfielders will hopefully help him
yeah,
to be effective when he does come on for those 30-minute spells. Particularly
yeah,
if we do want to progress to the latter stages of the Champions League and have a squad that's able to do that. Because one of the things that has kind of irked me a little bit, not necessarily about Eddie's selection or about the fans, but it's just this idea of our first 11. It's like, oh, this guy won't get games, this guy won't get minutes. It's like we need to stop thinking like that because
yeah, we do.
and to have a midfield that can rotate to the point where we don't feel noticeably weaker if we have to play either Miley or Ramsey or someone else in place of one of the three who we all know are our first 11 midfielders. Um,
Yeah, I think that's fair, mate. I think that we, as a club and as a team and supporters, have got used to having one or two, maybe three or four excellent players, and then the first team around that, and then what's behind that has been fairly poor. We've never had a squad where you wouldn't feel the impact of rotation, and I do think that on paper, at least, we've got two players for every position. We've got everything's covered from goalkeeper to centre forward. If everybody was fit, we've got two players that theoretically are good enough to play at this level regularly, and that's not including players like Kraft or Lascelles who could come in and do a job if needed. It's not including players like Asula, who I think has been a bit of a surprise package when he has played this season. I've been impressed with what I've seen mostly. Um, but yeah, I mean, we can get into what's happened on the pitch. But I think off the pitch, when the final whistle went metaphorically on the transfer window, I was pleased. I thought that we made the best of a bad situation because everyone was mocking us, right? Rejection FC and all the
oh, they
rest of
still are.
it. Yeah,
I
I
think they
think we,
don't realise how happy we are with it. I mean, fair enough, it
yeah,
wasn't perfect, but I think
no,
a lot of fans expect us to be disappointed about the way it went,
yeah,
and I really wasn't. Besides the Isak fiasco, I think in general, I think we did pretty well.
yeah. I think you could maybe argue of the two. I mean, we never really bid for Mbomo, but we were linked with him heavily before he went to Man United. And then the Ekatike one, they're the two that irk me that got away. That I feel like Mbomo has done really well at Man United, just slipped in and been fantastic on their right hand side, which is definitely what we needed. Alanga might come good, but let's face it, he's taken a while to settle. And to be this far into the season and your output is measured as a winger and goals and assists, and he has zero.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's all bad with Alanga, but if you were going to do a direct comparison with what Mbeumo's offered United to what we've got, there is no comparison. And then the Ekitike thing, like I say, I feel like if we didn't want to have to massively change system and play like we have done last season, which arguably is, well, not even arguably, is the most successful season in either of our lifetimes,
Yeah.
then, Champions League qualification and a trophy, we've never seen the like. So if the system that we had that worked, you didn't really want to have to change that. We've got the same management system. We've got 95% of the same players. Why would you want to change it? I feel like Ekitike was the one that would have slipped quite seamlessly into that role.
Well, I'm just going to shoehorn this question in. It wasn't on the list of questions that I sent you earlier on, but while we're on transfer windows, who would you like to see us sign in January?
That's a good question. I think it depends with the Wissa situation a little bit. If Wissa comes back and is fit and is firing by mid-December, I don't want to see us sign another striker. I feel like with a fit Wissa and Voltemada, and I don't want Sula to leave now, I feel like his role is defined for this season, and I'd like to keep it that way. So not a striker. That's the thing, it's difficult, isn't it? Because like I say, we've got theoretically 2 players for every position. But it depends. I guess it depends who we let go. Like, rumor has it.
I think I'd like to see a right back in.
Really?
Just obviously Trippier's now coming towards the end of his career. Livramento's a fantastic player, and we do have Emil Kraft, but I think we do need to think about the future a little bit. And frankly, I reckon one more season, and I don't think Trippier is going to be. I don't think he's going to have the legs to be second choice anymore.
Okay.
Personally, I might be wrong, but
I would agree with you on fullback. I think you picked the wrong side. I think we need a left back desperately, because as much as I absolutely love and adore Dan Burn, that man is not a fullback. No. And Lewis Hall has obviously been excellent for us for the past 18 months or so. But he's a bit injury prone, and you can't just rely on, what is he, 20? Can't rely on a 20-year-old to play week in, week out, like sometimes 2 or 3 games a week. And perform at that level. You need a left back. For me, I agree with you on Trippier. Like, he's got maybe a year, maybe another 2 at our most, where he's able to contribute. You already see that he's not bombing on in the way he did when we first signed him, and the difference, the drop off in attacking threat when Livramento is not available is noticeable. But Chow played right back a lot for AC Milan, and I think centre back is arguably our strongest area. So if you're going to give Cher a new contract and still give him minutes and play Burn at centre half, if you bought a new fullback, you've then got 4 first team quality centre backs that you're going to try and shoehorn into a team. So even if you only play 2 of them, say you play Botman and Cher, you could play Chow on the right side if you wanted to give Tino a rest. And I don't think there would be a drop off there. So I think for me, for right back, if you've got Tino's obvious first choice, and then if you've got Trippier and Chow and potentially Kraft behind him, and then on the left side, you've literally just got Hall and then Burn.
Well, it's worth mentioning, of course, that Trippier can play on the left as well, and has for England, and Livramento has experience on the left. So perhaps,
inverted fullback. Not my favourite.
Well, no, mine neither. But perhaps a fullback that can play on either side. Now, fair enough. Favouring the left, you might. I might concede to you that that's probably a better idea. But to have one that can play both sides, just so that those bases are covered. So who are we talking about?
Who? Put a name out there.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Just pick a random fullback.
We'll come back to it, but
let me think about it. Yeah.
But, left back or right back, full back anyway. And I agree. I think that's probably the main focus of what we should be looking at doing, if anything, in January.
It depends if we let Willett go. Rumour has that he's not happy with his minutes. If he goes, we need another midfielder.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair as well. Okay, so transfers out the way. As far as the actual football has been concerned this season, what improvements, if any, have you noticed in the way that we've been playing?
Our defence has got more pace to it. I think we're able to play slightly higher up the pitch without worrying about being turned. I think when you had Cher and Burn and Trippier as 3 of your back 4, you've got to be worried about pacing behind. I think having Botman and in particular Chow, who I think has been outstanding, we've now got a little bit more pace in the back line where I'm not as concerned about I think if you looked at Nick Pope's average position this season compared to last, he's up 5-6 yards further forward. And I think that's because he can play that sort of sweeper role because he's having to play slightly further forward. The whole team slightly further forward. I think our link-up play in the middle's been excellent. I like the fact that Bruno's getting in the box more. Again, he's got to, because as good as Voldemar been for the most part, he doesn't get in the box much. Out of the midfield three that we start regularly, Bruno probably is the most attacking threat. From there, he's the one that's sort of played that box-to-box 8 role and played it well. I've been Bruno's. It's funny. I think he plays too. We're too reliant on him. He gets too many minutes. He starts pretty much every game. If he's not starting, it's what's wrong with Bruno?
Well, we haven't won when he hasn't been in the team.
Well,
every time we've not won, it's been without Bruno. Or it could be every time we've lost.
Yeah,
I should probably know that's that, but it's pretty damning on leaving Bruno out the side anyway.
He is essential. He's the heartbeat of the team. Him and Tonali, probably now that we've lost Isak, him and Tonali, probably you would argue, like, if you weren't a Newcastle fan and you were looking at our team and you were looking at players that you might want in your team, I think they're probably the first 2 names that you're going to say. I think they're our best players. So they probably do have to play. If they're fit and available and aren't overworked, they've got to play. But I can't remember where I was going with this. Bruno. Link-up play. That's it. Yeah, I'm impressed. I've been impressed with the fact that with Isak, it was very much get the ball to Isak, see what he can do. A bit like a more sophisticated version of when we had some Maximin under Bruce. And now, not having him, I think other players are getting more involved. The fullbacks are coming inside. The wingers are chopping and changing a bit more. I think we've seen more from Harvey Barnes this year than we did last year in terms of that, getting involved in play. I think last year I was fairly critical of Barnes because I felt like when he was on the pitch, he was just keeping chalk on his boots on the left-hand side. And if we needed him to get stuck in, he just wasn't. He was just a bit of a passenger. I've always said about Barnes, he's good for the 3rd goal in a 4-0 win, but if you need a goal, you're 1-0 down, he doesn't give you much. But I feel like this season, he's kind of proven, especially in the Champions League, that that's not really the case. He can get stuck in and get involved.
Had some excellent Champions League performances.
Yeah, and not just him. You can throw Gordon into that mix as well. I mean, Gordon's been, I don't want to use the word dreadful, but anonymous in the Premier League. He's offered basically nothing. I think as a team, we were shocking at West Ham, but his individual performance was. He looked like he'd won a competition to be there. Like it was really, really poor. He was rightly pulled off at half time, and I thought, like, I compare that to the Gordon that I saw against Benfica, and they're like, how is that the same player? Because
that brings us in nicely to the inverse of that question. Obviously, with Gordon, it's a bit tricky because while his performances in the Premier League haven't been up to snuff, his Champions League performances have been very, very good. But overall, what regressions have you noticed in the side? Like, what's got worse for us?
Well, the obvious answer, I guess, is attacking threat, output in terms of goals scored. And I think, whilst we've been defensively sound, I used to think under Eddie, if we went 1-0 up, job done. We were going to win the game. At the very least, we wouldn't lose it. Whereas there's been a fair few situations like this season, particularly away from home. I mean, the West Ham, I was going to say performance, but I don't know if I can really call it that. The West Ham game, and then shortly after at Brentford, we scored early and then capitulated. And I've heard fans say, we're too defensive, we try and sit on it. I don't really think that's what happened either time, to be honest. I don't think we sat back. It was more that it invited them on. They had to come out and attack us. And I always thought previously, well, that's good. That's what we respond well to because we've got pace out wide. We've got players that can hit you on the break. And so if you come at us, we'll just pick you off. We'll sit back, we'll sit deep, we'll win it in midfield with the 3 battling rams that we've got, and then play it out wide and jobs are good. But it just hasn't really worked out that way. So in terms of regression, I think the team's struggling. The team are struggling to adapt to what has to be a different system. It has to be a different system because your focal point of your attack is gone. And also, even at centre back, I mean, like I say, Chow, I have been really pleasantly surprised by. I thought he'd be good, but I thought it would take him a while to establish himself as first choice, particularly given the form of Cher. But I think like
was Cher injured when he came in? Is that why he was
yeah,
given this chance perhaps a bit earlier than Eddie would normally introduce someone new to the
I'm
side?
pretty sure he had concussion. He had to have like a week or so off with concussion, and Chow came in. And I mean, yeah, Cher did nothing wrong, but he can't get his place back. Which again brings up my argument: if Tino's not fit and you're worried about Trippier's output, then I would be tempted to accommodate Chow out wide and play him at fullback and see what he does there. He's got the pace to play it. He's played there before, and then you can bring the experience of Cher back in. But again, we had a really settled back line, and bringing new players in, which was the right thing to do. And then that coupled with the injuries to Haaland and Livramento mean that we are changing it. Eddie Howe's never liked changing his defence. For all the chopping and changing he might like to do, he's always like to have a really settled back line. And we've bringing new players in, having new systems, and then there's the whole Nick Pope debate as to is he still for undisputed first choice? Should we be giving Ramsdale more minutes? I don't know. My opinion on that changes weekly, to be honest.
Yeah, same. Yeah, he's had a couple of amazing performances. It was 6 clean sheets out of his first 10 games or something. Nick Pope, you can't really argue with a stat like that. It's excellent.
No, you can't. The problem is, I've always said about Nick Pope, you can't argue. What do you want from your goalkeeper, right? Prevent goals. He's brilliant at that.
Yeah.
You want a footballer out of your goalkeeper, you're not picking Nick Pope. You know, I'm as good with my feet as he is with his. You know, there's not a lot going on there. But the people that say he's got shit distribution, I don't agree. You know, his distribution, I mean, look at the throw in the Champions League, right?
Assist, yeah.
He's got a great assist with his hands, right? So the problem you've got is you look at the West Ham goals, particularly the first and third goals. You can't do much about the bottom own goal, but the first goal, he's flapped it across and punched it when he should have caught it. And then the shot that's come in, he's got pop it on wrists and it's trickled in the bottom corner where he probably should have pushed out for a corner. And then the third goal, I don't really understand how he's done it. Like it's sort of trickled through his legs. He's lost his bearings entirely, done a little pirouette, and then the two checks put it in the net. And it just looks poor. And I think if you know, I've been a big advocate of Nick Pope for years. I think he's been an excellent buy. But when your argument is he's the stronger goalkeeper, and he's not a footballer, but that's not the way we've ever played. We're not used to having like an Edison type keeper that's going to be good with his feet. We don't need that. If that's the argument, then once he starts making goalkeeping errors, that's when maybe you think, well, hang on a minute. Is it time to give Ramsdale a go? We brought him in for a reason. He's played, 2 or 3 games. Give him a shout. I mean, I think Pope was obviously injured, wasn't he, in the last game?
Yeah.
Pulled out of the England squad. Maybe that's a bit of a blessing in disguise in terms of how can play Ramsdale now without having to drop Nick Pope. He can just do it because Pope's not available. Or Pope's not like.
And it may well be that he does a Thiaw and keeps his place.
Hopefully,
despite not really any major fault of Pope's. Yeah, a couple of mistakes. You know.
Well, he's become a scapegoat. You know, Newcastle fans love a scapegoat. You know, got to have someone to pick on and to blame. And selling Longstaff took away that long-standing scapegoat. And so we've got to pick on someone new. It was Willett for a while, but he's not kicked a ball in ages. So Nick Pope. So now that Pope's out, I fully expect it to be Elanga.
Yeah.
We'll just move around. There's always got to be, there's always got to be someone to pick on. Well, I'd like that to be the case, but I'm fearful. You look at the way Forest played. I think Elanga would have been a great player for us last season. But the way that we play a bit more possession football now, and like I say, that slower build up, that link up play, it's just not what he's used to. It's not the way he's played at Forest, and the whole time he's been there, I don't see it fitting his game. Remains to be seen, but I fear.
I think he will come good, but yeah, there's still certainly a question mark over him.
Yeah, there is, and I think it's that whole what other fans of other clubs have levelled us about the Isak money, of like, okay, yeah, we say, oh, brilliant, you know, he's done basically nothing at Liverpool because he's unfit, because he refused to train because he's, well, insert expletive here, but he obviously we got a lot of funds from that, but you think in just Elanga and Ramsey, we spent £100 million
Yeah,
on
it's
players
a
that
lot.
can't get in the team. You know, no disrespect to Jacob Murphy, his output last year was fantastic, but everybody said, that was a bit of a hot streak, a great season, call it what you will, but he's 30, 31. The fact that he's had that sort of output and nobody has mentioned him for England probably sums it up, right? He had a fantastic player, fantastic season in terms of output, but he is a limited player. You can upgrade him, and we were trying to do that in Elanga, and then within a month, 6 weeks, no one's arguing that Elanga's on the bench and Murphy starts.
No.
So, and I think, and like I said, the Ramsey debate, I've seen people questioning Joe Linton's performances this season, not what he used to be. Should Ramsey be starting ahead of him? Maybe. He's not. And so to spend 100 million on two players that don't start worries me.
No, I agree. Okay, so I'm very aware that we're nearly at half an hour now. I wasn't planning on the whole video to be this long, so I've got a few quick fires for you. First of all, who's been the best player this season so far, and why?
For me, that's a toss-up between Bruno and Chow. I think individual performance-wise, I think sometimes when the team's not up to scratch, Bruno has literally dragged us through games. And his slight change of position, slight tweak, and leadership skills. Certainly off the pitch, his leadership skills are outstanding. Best captain I can remember us having. And then Chow, like I say, for a centre back to have the impact he's had already and to displace arguably our best performing centre back over the past few years as quickly as he has, I think he's just taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. So Bruno and Chow for me.
Bruno and Chow, cool. Okay, and what would you say is the best performance of the season so far from Newcastle?
Well, it's gonna have to be a cup game, isn't it? I would think. I think the away game in Belgium, we didn't know what we were going to get. Artificial pitch, team we've never played. To win that as comfortably as we did was very impressive.
The Belgian league by a distance as well.
Yeah, they hadn't lost a game. They had not lost. I know it's the Belgian league, right? Who are they actually playing? But maybe it was put in front of you, and I thought performance was. To be honest, every Champions League performance has been excellent. You can kind of take your pick. Even the Barcelona game, I thought we played really well. The goal we scored against Barcelona was one of the best team goals I've seen Newcastle score ever. It was excellent.
Since potentially Ipswich.
Oh, it was just phenomenal. The build-up, the runs, the little intricacies, that was sort of when you're saying about what have I noticed in improvements. I don't think we scored that goal last year, but we do. That's the sort of goal we scored. We scored a few like that. Even the Voltemada one at Brighton was similar, like what a finish that was, by the way. But we've had a few instances like that. But in terms of it's going to sound really weird because I'm going to pick a defeat in terms of my favourite performance. It was the Liverpool game because that game was, for obvious reasons, had a lot of there's a lot of build up to it.
A lot of tension.
There's a lot of tension, a lot of rivalry, almost replay of the Carabao Cup final.
Except now the guy that scored the winning goals
is not on either team. Yeah.
If he had he signed by then?
No,
that
was before the window shut. So, but because they were just all the Liverpool fans were saying hand him over, weren't they? That awful little stupid little nursery rhyme style chant in the corner. But that game we fought tooth and nail for, went toe to toe with the best team in the land. And this was before their capitulation. This was before they were losing 4 or 5, 6 games, whatever they lost. They hadn't lost a game. They were coming into it full of confidence. I mean, the manner of which we lost it was horrendous, obviously, in that last minute. But I think, again, you go back to Bruno, the way we were dead and buried, and he just dragged us back into it. I loved Dasula's little cameo. We went to that game with no striker, played the second half with Gordon sent off. We should have lost that game, theoretically, I think, by 3-4 goals. So to have only lost it by a last-minute winner from a teenager, it was stuck in my mind as a solid performance.
I think it wasn't as heartbreaking as when Darwin Núñez did it to us. Was it last season before?
Yeah, 2 pretty much identical goals. Yeah.
And that was devastating because we'd bossed that game.
Yeah.
Whereas this was much more of a fight. I think Liverpool were deserved winners, but I agree. I think the resilience that we showed in that game, and particularly Bruno, was amazing. Uh, so conversely, worst performance of the season so far.
West Ham. Next question.
Well, it was going to be that or Brentford, wasn't it? But no,
Brentford was poor. Brentford was poor for a half. The first half against Brentford was all right. The second half was diabolical. Against West Ham, we should have been 1-0 down before we scored in the third minute. But Joe Bowen hits the post. That's another day that goes in. And West Ham were,
well, when you consider how shocking West Ham have been this season as well.
especially at home, like that place should have been toxic, right? We should have just gone there, turned up. Everyone was. I was worried about it beforehand because all the pundits and commentators were saying what an easy win it was going to be for Newcastle. You don't want that midfield going up against the strongest midfield in the league, and we were just to a man atrocious. It was awful. It was like watching not even Bruce's football, like before Bruce. It was like watching McLaren football. It was just woeful.
That's harsh, but yeah, it was bad.
It was that bad. It was that bad. For one game, it was that bad. If it was 3-1, it could have been 5 or 6.
Okay, and on balance, considering we've got a couple of players missing, we've not been firing on all cylinders yet. We're just about to come off an international break and walk straight into the Lions' den against Man City. But where do you think we'll finish this season?
It depends which part of my anatomy you're asking. I'll go heart and head. My heart says we're destined for another Wembley appearance, whether that be the League Cup final or potentially a FA Cup semi. I think what Crystal Palace have shown is that if you do give your all to the cup games, and we've been excellent in every cup game, every League Cup, Champions League, we've been a really solid cup team. Eddie Howe's record in the Carabao Cup is like incredible. Lost one game on penalties to Chelsea. Other than that, like we've made the final in the 3 years that he's been in charge. Like it's madness. So I think I'd like to see another Wembley appearance, which obviously, fingers crossed, goes hand in hand with another trophy. Champions League, I think you've got to be realistic. I think what we saw against Barcelona was there are teams that are just better than us in the Champions League. We've got to know our place and not get above our station. I think if we can basically emulate what Villa did last year and get sort of quarterfinals, like that would be pretty special to have like a quarterfinal against a PSG or a Real Madrid or a really big European team to play home and away and give it a good go like they did. I think that's optimistic but realistic. And then in the league, our league form's dire. We can't win away from home. Not only can we not win away from home, we started off keeping clean sheets and not scoring. And now we're scoring the odd goal, but conceding a hatful. And it's like, well, we kind of need both. We need the defensive resilience of the first few weeks and be able to have a bit of an attacking threat. So I don't see us. I think I'd take 7th now. If you offered me 7th now, I would take it. I think there is a strong possibility we miss out on European football next year, which is why I think we've got to give the cups our everything, because unless we win a trophy, we have to face up to the fact we don't get Europe again next season. And then if we become one of those teams where we get Europe and then we don't, and then we get Europe and then we don't, then you can kiss goodbye to the likes of Tonali, because he's too good to not be playing European football in the Champions League, let alone not getting something like Europa League or Conference League.
Yeah, I think a trophy in Europa League, a player like Tonali would probably want to stay. But
that's it.
Anything less than that, and I think we might struggle. I think you're right.
Well, this is it. You look at, like say, last season, won a trophy, got the Champions League. We still lost Isak. He still wanted to leave despite that. I don't think Tonali and Isak are cut from the same cloth in terms of just caliber of human being, but it's football. These things happen. Players will move on, but you just got to hope that you can grow with these players. I don't feel like I felt until this point Tonali is sort of owed Newcastle for the backing that we gave him when he was banned, the investment we made him in initially. But I feel like he's repaid that now. Like, there is no more debt in my opinion. So if
we've got to keep him, we've got to give him a reason. Yeah.
Precisely. So yeah, where will we finish this season? Somewhere between 6th and 10th.
I think that's about right. I think top half we won't have a problem. You know, we're struggling maybe at the minute, but I'm sure we'll have a streak at some point that puts us back in around that area. Hopefully, one that can continue for longer, so that we are pushing for European qualification at the end of the season. Um, but no, I think I'm with you. I'd probably take seventh. Um, and then from real football to the other kind of football, which is actually the reason we're here, despite having spent
Yeah.
35 minutes and 20 seconds talking about stuff that we have no
Uh,
control over.
yeah.
Um,
Fair play if anyone has watched all of this and not just fast forwarded to the end, by the way. Just,
yeah, there might be one or
yeah,
two.
listen to the waffle.
So how are you getting on fantasy league wise?
In standard Ross fashion, started strongly, faded terribly, missed a couple of deadlines in terms of transfers in and out, and I've fallen on my sword a little bit. I decided at the start of the season that Haaland and Salah were getting nowhere near my team, so I'm just not picking them. I want to have differentials. I don't want to be spending that amount of money on one player. Um, I'd convinced myself foolishly that Haaland was done being this goal scoring machine and he was just going to go back to being quite good and that there were other better options out there. I've been justified in not picking Salah. I have not been justified in not picking Haaland. So I'm playing catch up because I need my strikers to have uh, outstanding performances just to be playing catch up with people that do have Haaland. But I'm a stubborn old sod, so I'm not going to be putting him in anytime soon. I feel like I can't go this far and not put him in, and then just go, oh, go on then, because I would obviously I'd have to make wholesale changes in terms of getting the money funds to put him in. So yeah, it's been a bit of a weird one, and also I'm far too loyal when it comes to picking Newcastle players. So I started off. I actually at one point had 4 Newcastle players,
Oh yes,
which is
because you
interesting.
still had a check
Yeah,
when you thought he
so
was staying.
I no, I had Wissa. So
Oh, okay.
I put Whistler in as a Brentford player, and I already had Voltamada, Elanga, and Lewis Miley. So at one point, I did have 4 Newcastle players,
And does it
which it
actually
let me.
allow that to happen, or did it say you must
Yeah,
make the transfer before the next window or something?
no, I kept waiting for it to happen. That it would that the algorithm would say, "Whoa, hang on a minute, doesn't work." But if I didn't make any changes at all, it was just going to let me have it. I could continue to have 4 players, but what it did was when I went in to make any change at all, I couldn't save my changes. It would say, you can't save these changes, you've got 4 Newcastle players. So
Right.
it would let
Okay.
me have it. If I kept that squad, that 15 or however many you get, if I kept that 15 for the rest of the season, yes, I could have had 4 Newcastle players. But I think it was, I think I had, who did I have? Oh, I had Frimpong and he got injured. So I was like,
Yeah,
I
you
want to
couldn't
take him
change that.
out. So I wanted to make that change.
Of course,
And
there
I
are
couldn't
many
make
who
that.
do just pick their team and then leave it and don't touch it for the entire season. And
Yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah,
you do
well,
tend to see them down the bottom of their divisions.
yes, there's a reason for that.
So Grealish as captain. We're looking at your team now, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I should mention that's quite an
Yeah.
interesting choice for captain. What's the thinking there?
Uh, so I mean, I'll be honest, I've not looked at that team since before the international break. So who did Everton play
Because
last?
of their fixture. Well, let's have a
Yeah,
look.
I bet it was Sunderland.
Uh, it was Fulham.
Yeah, so that's probably why. At home against Fulham, you're expecting an Everton win. And if Everton score goals, I was hoping they would come from Jack Grealish, at least in an assist form. But
Oh, in fact,
obviously
you
that
didn't
didn't
even
happen.
have Grealish. Oh no, that's my team. Never mind. For some reason, it showed. Yeah,
I did have Grealish,
you do
but
have
probably
Grealish.
not.
Sorry, yes, it went to my
Yeah,
team when I clicked points. I was trying to look at your points, but I
yeah,
didn't realise
fair
I
enough.
already had your points on screen. So yeah, you're 44th in the Toontalk FPL at the moment out of 96 on the overall table. Uh,
Distinctly average.
I'm considerably lower. You'll be happy to know. But then I was absolutely terrible for about the first 6 games of the season, and I think I've only just got off the bottom of my division in the fantasy league.
Right.
I'll get over to there now. Which page was it? This one. No, not that one.
I played my bench boost a couple of weeks ago, and
There you go. There's
Paid off. Paid off
Division One at
handsomely.
the moment. Me in 11th.
Uh-huh.
I did look like I was going to return to winning form, but unfortunately that was scuppered by who was it I just played? That would be John Thomas, who's won 4 in a row. So yeah, I played against the form player in the league and got beat unfortunately. Bob Douglas, double winner, has fallen off the top. He's lost 3 in a row, which is very unlike him. Here's Division 2 where you are. So you're 6th, not too bad. You've just fallen
Yeah.
a place. But yeah, certainly inconsistent when you look at this form guide.
Yeah. So you can probably tell which weeks I've remembered to change my team and which ones I've gone, whoops, the deadline's gone.
There you go. 4 bonus points though, not bad. What have you had? Let's see.
I had one really good week where
You
I got
were manager of the week, sorry, in game week 7 for the league.
yeah.
And you have come second, and then you didn't podium in September, but second and third in August and October separately for manager of the month, which is not too bad at all. So that's the league anyway. What we're here for, though, I suppose, is the tournament, which is now called the Toontalk Trophy, and I'm just going to make sure I've got all the right stuff up on my screen. Bear with me. So yes, Toontalk Trophy. Now I did. I think it's Group 20, isn't it? Yes, Group 20. There you are. So you actually came top of that group with the only. Oh no, you don't have the only positive score difference. Lee Girdlestone actually has positive score difference as well because of a particularly good game against Chris Gibson. But you've qualified top of your group, so you'll be seeded. You'll be playing against someone that finished second or third in your first game. Meanwhile, I despite my league form, I can't remember what division it is now. 5. Yes. So I've come third in Group 5, having won on the last day of the season after 2 defeats. So I'm quite chuffed with that positive score difference as well. So quite pleased. Um, and I'm not going to go through every table because there's 24 groups.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that these are the players that finish third. If you finish first or second, you've qualified for round 2. If you finish third, you've got to be in the top 16 third place finishers. So everyone there from Frankie Durham down to Lee Miller has qualified. Commiserations to David Miller, John Thomas, Frankie Martin, TJ Allen Carter, Barry Wilson, Darren Wilkinson, Benj Cowan and Sue Kinghorn, who all finished third in their groups, but unfortunately not one of the best placed third place finishers, or best scoring third place finishers, I should say. Particular congratulations for their group wins go to James Palmer, Aaron Guthrie, Dean Hadfield, Roy Parkinson, Joe Bullymore, Christopher Nager, Philip Johnson, Stephen Wallace, Ryan Jensen, Neil Wilson, Robert Pentland, Alan Taylor and Mark Robson, all of whom won all 3 of their games in their groups. That's 13 out of the 24 with 100% records in their group, so well done to those. We may as well move on to the draw, I suppose. I think we've spent enough time waffling. So here are the ball numbers for the draw. In pot 1, you've got all of the players who won their groups, and they will be balls 1 to 24. In pot 2, you've got all of the players who came second in their groups. They will be balls 25 to 48. And if I can select them all. And then finally, pot 3, you've got the top 16 third place finishers. Now, the way the draw works is that if you were in a group with someone, you can't be drawn against them. But this is the first time in the Toontalk Trophy that you can be drawn against someone from your division. So we might see 1 or 2 same division games. Hopefully, a couple of big ones in Division 1, but we'll see. So I guess without further ado, we will do the draw. And as we do it, it's going to come up on here and populate these TBCs. So when I start doing this, there'll be a little toast pop up in the bottom right corner. I don't know how you want to do it. Would you like me to read the home teams, you to read the away teams, or?
If I'm honest, my screen is small, so small that I can't actually see it well enough to read them.
Right. Okay. I'll do that then. But you can stand as a witness. You are ball number 20, um, which you can see right there. I am ball number 56. I'm not going to go through everybody's, but ones to watch out for. The other admins, I suppose, would be worth mentioning. We've got David Waters, is ball number 11. That's my uncle David. Ross, we've already mentioned you, of course. We have Mike Waters, former admin, my cousin. He's ball number 28. We have John Waters, my dad, ball number 33. All the Waters is in there. We have Kay Waters, my mum, is ball number 52. Well done, Waters family. Like, everybody's in. I'm 56. And then we do have. No, that's it. That's all the admins that have qualified.
Don't have any people after me.
George Bland unfortunately came bottom of his group with a really horrendous goal difference, but I won't dwell on that too much.
All good.
But yes, that's all of the all of the ball numbers anyway are there. I won't leave them on screen though. I will move over to this screen so we can see them going into their fixtures as they're drawn. And here we go. Process tournament round 2 draw, nice and clinical. So, the first fixture will be number 4, Dubai Mickey. He will play number 57, Rory Shoemaker. So that's Dubai Mickey, top of division. Top of. No, I've got that completely wrong. Dubai Mickey, who was top of Group 4 against Rory Shoemaker, who was third in Group 21. That's Division 8 v Division 3. So although Dubai Mickey performed better, it is Rory there who is favourite to win because of his higher division. Number 1, James Palmer, is the next name out of the hat. He will play number 53, Chris Gibson. That's Division 5 against Division 6. And that is a group winner again against a group third place. So the way this works is all of these first few fixtures will feature someone who finished third against someone who finished first, and then it'll be second versus first, and then the remaining second place will be drawn against each other. Number 8, Roy Parkinson, winner of Group 8, and in Division 2, will play against Rob Hutchinson, third in Group 11, and he's in Division 1, so that's going to be a big game. Roy Parkinson versus Rob Hutchinson there. Number 18, Mark Robson, will play number 52, my mum, Kay Waters. So Mark Robson, one of the 100% record holders from the first round, so well done there. Number 22, winner of Group 22, Callum Wink, will play number 54, Richard Barnes. Number 24, David Threadgill, will play number 49, Frankie Durham. Number 17, Alan Taylor, another 100% record holder from the first round, will play number 60, Caleb Soulsby, newcomer this season, but he is absolutely smashing it in Division 7. And Alan Taylor is also in Division 7, so that's the first same division. No, it's the second, after Mark Robson and Kay Waters. The second same division matchup that we have, Alan Taylor versus Caleb Soulsby. Number 3, Cameron Richardson, will play number 62, Martin Soulsby, Caleb's dad. Division 7 plays Division 4. Number 13, Stephen Wallace, who actually has the best score difference of any of our qualifiers. He finished on plus 85 just in the group stages, so well done, Stephen. He'll play against number 61, Chris Abbott. And that is a Division 1 versus Division 1 matchup, first one. So meeting of the elite. That should be a good one. Neil Wilson, number 15, also a 100% record holder from round 1, will play me, Division 3 versus Division 1. I don't fancy my chances there based on my performances so far this season, but certainly a good matchup. Look forward to that one. Neil Wilson versus yours truly, Rob Waters. Next up, number 14, Ryan Jensen, also a 100% record holder from the first round, will play number 51, David Gill. Number 11, my Uncle David Waters, will play Another David. We have a David Derby for game 12. 11 versus 59. That's David Russell. Division 5 versus Division 7. Number 9, Joe Bullimore, another 100% record holder in the first round. Will play number 64, Lee Miller. Of all of the qualifiers that came through, Lee Miller actually has the joint third lowest score difference with minus 15 of all of those who qualified for round 2. Number 7, Dean Hadfield, another 100% record holder. Will play number 63, Kirsty Westbroom, a newcomer this season who's doing very, very well in Division 7. Number 12, Philip Johnston, another 100% record holder. Will play number 58, Graham Clark. That's Division 4 versus Division 1 there. Number 16, Robert Pentland, yet another 100% record holder from Division 4. He will play number 55, Daniel Hall. Number 45, Ian Thurkeld, will play number 5, Victoria Westbroom. So in fact, we have now gone into the second place versus first place part of the draw. So that's all of the third place finishers have now been drawn. And it's just occurred to me that they're not actually appearing in order on this list. They're going into their respective places, so that's a bit confusing. Number 30, Freddie Gass, representing Chelsea, one of our non-Newcastle fans. He'll be playing against number 23, Ryan Gibson. If you bear with me just a moment. Oh, no, in fact, you know what? I can't go over to a different screen because this is the one that I'm controlling the draw from, so we'll just have to put up with it for now. But I will read them all out again at the end. Number 43, John Davidson from Division 1 will play number 20, our guest Ross McDonald from Division 2.
Congratulations. Congratulations, John, on your progress to Division 2 round 3.
That will be a tough one for both of you, I think. Game 20, number 42, Hank Postma is up against number 10, Christopher Nager, another 100% record holder, and that is both players from Division 8, so that should be interesting. We have number 27, June Payne. She will play number 6, PK Curry. That's Division 5 versus Division 4. Number 37, Paul Menges is up against number 19, Colin Westbroom. Number 33, John Waters, the founder of Toontalk, who will be playing against number 21, Max Klein, who pretty much seeded in every competition. I'm sure he's won at least one or two of the competitions in Fantasy League in previous seasons. Off the top of my head, I can't remember which, but that's a very, very tough draw for Dad, despite them being separated by 4 divisions. Good luck for both of you there. Number 34, Simon Glass, will play number 2, Aaron Guthrie, another 100% record holder. He was the winner of Group 2. That's Division 4 versus Division 6 in that game. Number 39, Glenn Gregory. Oh, it's now asking me to pick home and away teams differently because we've moved on to everybody who finished second now. So Glenn Gregory, who was in fact the lowest score difference finisher that has qualified with minus 18. He has the joint lowest score difference of anyone that qualified for round 2. He'll play against number 35, Craig Nixon, who's doing very well in Division 7. So that's Division 5 versus Division 7 there. Game 26, the home team or the home player, my cousin, Mike Waters. He will be playing against number 40, Dominic Glass. That's Division 4 versus Division 8. Both finishing second in their groups. Game 27, number 29, David Bell, will play against number 44, Tom Rourke, who was the other player to have the joint lowest score difference of anyone that qualified with minus 18. Both Glenn Gregory and Tom Rourke finished second in their groups despite having that low score difference. Number 26, Matthew Newman, will play against number 36, Joe Smith, who's representing Tottenham Hotspur. So we'll all be rooting for Matthew there, I'm sure, apart from Joe. Game Number 29, Matthew Pike, number 31, will play against number 25, Alex Banks, another frequent flyer in the elite of this competition. I think he is also a cup winner in a previous season. They're both in Division 3, so that'll be quite a tight battle, I think. Game 30, number 41, Graham Testo, who's performing pretty well in the league at the moment in Division 3. He'll play against number 38, Jeff Learmouth from Division 6. Game 31, number 47, Jamie Shepherd from Division 1. He'll play against number 48, Gary Walton, newcomer this season. He's in Division 6. And finally, number 32, Ross Metcalf, who is representing Manchester United, will play against number 46, Derek Gillett, who is representing Arsenal. So that will be an interesting one. Man United, Arsenal, one of them is definitely getting through to round 3. But
one of them is definitely out.
But one of them is definitely out. And for what it's worth, there will definitely be at least one representative of Newcastle United in round 3, given that I think 60 of the 64 teams are managed by Newcastle United fans. So that is the entire draw. I'll very quickly rip through that again. So we have Dubai Mickey against Rory Shoemaker, Ross Metcalf against Derek Gillett, James Palmer against Chris Gibson, Jamie Shepherd against Gary Walton, Roy Parkinson against Rob Hutchinson, Graham Testo versus Jeff Learmouth, Mark Robson versus Kay Waters, Matthew Pike against Alex Banks, Callum Wink against Richard Barnes, Matthew Newman against Joe Smith, David Threadgill against Frankie Durham, David Bell against Tom Rourke, Alan Taylor versus Caleb Soulsby, Mike Waters versus Dominic Glass, Cameron Richardson versus Martin Soulsby, Glenn Gregory versus Craig Nixon, Stephen Wallace versus Chris Abbott, Simon Glass versus Aaron Guthrie, Neil Wilson versus me, John Waters versus Max Klein, Ryan Jensen versus David Gill, Paul Mingers versus Colin Westbroom, David Waters in the David Derby against David Russell, June Payne versus PK Curry, Joe Bullimore versus Lee Miller, Henk Postma versus Christopher Nager, Dean Hadfield versus Kirsty Westbroom, John Davidson versus our guest Ross McDonald, Philip Johnston versus Graham Clark, Freddie Gass versus Ryan Gibson, Robert Penland versus Daniel Hall, and finally Ian Thurkeld versus Victoria Westbroom. And that concludes the draw for round 2 of the Toontalk Trophy. Best of luck, everyone. We've taken far too much of your time if you have spent the almost 60 minutes watching us, but thanks very much for tuning in. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Thanks very much to our guest Ross McDonald.
Thank you for having me.
Goodbye.